Hi guys, Bert Kammerer here with Team Horizon, and today I'm going to show you a brief overview of the brand new Spektrum DX8 transmitter. I've had my transmitter for about 3 weeks. It's a pre-production version, yet it looks identical to the production version that's going to be released. I believe general release is due to be scheduled for September 1st, so maybe as you guys watch this video, the DX8 will be available for you to purchase. There's a lot of anticipation. I've never seen so much talk about a radio release since I've been doing RC helicopters. And I believe the main reason for this is not only because it's a Spektrum radio and it's backed by Horizon's excellent customer service, but also because it incorporates a lot of new features. For example, the DX8 has a telemetry feature. And what telemetry does is it allows you to see real-time data as it happens on your helicopter. So you can monitor your receiver battery voltage, your onboard battery voltage if you're flying an electric helicopter. You can monitor your motor RPM, your motor temperature, and you can even select, say, warnings so that the radio will warn and beep at you when, say, for example, battery voltage drops too low, or when your motor temperature goes too high, etc. So it's a really cool feature to have. Let me see. In addition to that, the DX8 also has a vibration feature that is very useful, and it kind of reminds me of a little over a year ago. I was practicing for XFC competition, and I was listening to the music on my iPod because I was practicing to my music round, and all of a sudden my helicopter just kept flying straight and it crashed into the ground. And when I looked at the radio was turned off. Well, what happened was the radio was beeping at me, yelling at me, letting me know that its battery was about to die, but because I had the music on and it was so loud, I never heard it. So it always makes me wonder, if I would have had that vibration feature, the radio would have shook and vibrated, and I would have known something's wrong, would have brought the helicopter back, landed it, and it would have possibly prevented the crash. So let's see what else. DX8 still has the full 11 millisecond latency and full 2048 resolution that the DX7 SE has, and a wide array of other features. So here's my unit, and like I said, it's a pre-production version, but it looks identical to the real thing, to the one that's about to be released. And big screen, it's got a light in it, it's backlit, which is really cool. Everything lights up when you turn it on. Let's see here. It's got your menu switches, right, your menu buttons right here, and then of course your normal trims like any other radio. And the switch layout up here is very similar to the DX7, and it's got more switches up here. That's channel number 8. And as you look at the back battery compartment, it comes with a 2000 milliamp nickel metal 4-cell battery. It's got a trainer port right here and the charging port right here. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the menus on the radio, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, the reason why the lights are off is because I wanted you to see how it's backlit. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to turn it on. Everything lights up. Really cool presentation, and that's the main screen for the DX8. And so the way to access the menu here is by pushing this wheel, and that takes you to your main screen, your main menu. The first option is the servo setup. Servo setup incorporates like 4 different features in it. It has your endpoint adjustments, your sub trim, your servo reversing, and servo speed. So if you go in here, as you can see up here, it says travel. So it's set to travel adjustments. So if I wanted to change the travel adjustment, say for example, for, I don't know, the aileron, I would come in here and I would just adjust these numbers up and down, and see they move together. If I want to adjust just to one side, I hold the aileron to one side, and then I can modify that. If I want to go to the other side, hold it to the other side, modify that value, and so forth. I'll come back up here. Next function is sub trim. So I'll have my sub trims here for aileron, elevator, rudder, and all the different channels. Next option would be the reverse. So if you wanted to, say, reverse the, I don't know, let's say we want to reverse elevator. Hold the elevator, go here and change it from normal to reverse. And the last option is your servo speed. So you can manipulate the servo speed independently for all your servos. So you can go to normal, or you can specify a certain latency like in milliseconds. So that's pretty cool. Next screen here is the dual rates and exponential. Very similar to the way it works on the DX7 or DX7 SE. Difference being is you can select switches. So for example, I have it set to on. So on my Dual rates and my exponential is the same for any condition, and regardless of where the switch positions are. But if you want it, for example, you could select your aileron dual rate switch for it, or your elevator dual rate switch, or rudder dual rate switch, or flight mode. So if you want it less expo, say in normal mode, than you want it in stunt 1 or idle up 1, you would select flight mode, and then you would change it accordingly. So that's really cool right there. So your next screen is the throttle cut. Throttle cut, you can assign a switch to it. I have it on the trainer switch. The trainer switch is this little push button here. So if I push this button, it'll kill my engine. Of course, you can select your hold switch, or you can select your right trim or left trim, or you can inhibit it. I mean, there's a lot of options there. Next screen is the throttle curve. Very similar to the DX7, just a little bit of a different menu, but you have your normal curve. So you can see 5-point curve, your idle up 1 or stunt 1, stunt 2, and your throttle hold. There is a throttle hold throttle curve, which basically just manipulates the offset on your idle for your throttle. So I have it at 3%, as you can see. And when you modify this number, it modifies the number across the board for all the points. Of course, you can separate it as well. Next screen is the swatch plate. Again, very similar to DX7. You got your aileron, elevator, and pitch values, your expo function, and there's a electronic ring or cyclic ring. I have it inhibited. I'm not used to using that, but it's a pretty handy feature. Gyro screen. You can select the channel that is assigned to the gyro. I have aux2 here. You can select a switch. I have it on the gyro switch. So as I move my gyro switch, I'm moving my rates. That's pretty cool right there. And again, you can change this. You can set it to aileron dual rates, you can set it to elevator dual rates, rudder dual rates, you can set it to the governor switch, I mean, even the flight mode switch. So that's pretty cool. Next screen is governor, similar to the gyro screen. You select the channel where the governor is connected. I have the 7100R receiver on this model, so it's automatically on the gear channel. The switch, I have it in governor, so that's a governor switch right there. So as I move that switch, I'm changing my rates for my RPM. Next one is pitch curve, exactly the same as throttle curve. And then tail curve is nothing more than your revo mixing. I have it inhibited. And then your mixes. This is cool. You have a cyclic to throttle mix, and you have a swatch plate mix, which basically corrects interactions. And in addition to that, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different mixes. So you have a total of 8 mixes on this radio. Really handy. Your range test, just to test the range of your system. Your timer, and timer works off of throttle position as well. I have it set so that at 3% throttle my timer goes up, and you can set it so that every time you go to idle throttle it stops and then it restarts, or you can set it so that the first time you hit it, it starts and it'll never stop. And then finally, your servo monitor, which works like any other radio, shows you the position of your servo channels. And that's about it. Now, a cool feature about this DX8 is that you no longer have to hold the power. You don't have to cycle the power and hold the button while you're powering it on to change your model. All you do is you hold these two buttons at the same time, and it takes you to the model select menu. So say I want to change over to my T-Rex 700E. I push there, select, main screen, radio will boot back up. It'll be good to go on 700E. To access the main system menu, then at that point you have to turn off and back on, hold this button, turn it on, and that takes us to the system menu. Here's where you can change the model type, for example, from airplane to helicopter, your model name, assign a name to your model, your swatch type, and in addition to having CCPM 120, you also have the ability to use CCPM 135, CCPM 140. That's a really cool feature there too. I'm going to leave it in 120. Your switch select, so you can assign switches for different functions. Pretty much every single switch can be assigned to a different function. Your flight mode setup, so if you're not comfortable with, say, your idle up or stunt on this side, you can move it to this side. You can move your hold to this side. You can do a lot with this radio in the way in which you assign your switches. Your trim setup, if you're familiar with this is just a step on your trim. I left it at default, which is number 6. And then model reset, model copy, warnings. Here, for example, if I want a warning when I turn my radio on, right now I have it set so that if the throttle is over 5% or I have stunt 1 or stunt 2, in other words, saddle up 1 or 2 active, or throttle hold active, an alarm will go off and it'll also vibrate. You can change it right here so that it only vibrates or only gives you an alarm. That's really cool there too. I'm going to show you how that works. Turn it off. I'm going to have to throttle up and I'm going to turn it on. So you can see it's vibrating. You can hear it vibrate and it's giving me the warning and it's beeping as well. As soon as you bring the throttle down, it boots up. And the last option here in the system setup menu under warnings is telemetry. Telemetry is what I just talked to you guys about. You can select telemetry features like your flight log, where it records the frames and the holds, lost frames and number of holds while you're in flight, your RPM, your temperature, your receiver battery voltage. For example, I have it set so that it'll beep at me and it'll vibrate if my receiver battery voltage drops below 7.2 volts. Flight pack voltage, if you're flying a electric helicopter, you no longer really have to rely on a timer. You can have it vibrate on you or give you an alarm if your onboard battery voltage drops below a certain number. So it's really cool. You no longer have to worry about overflying or underflying your battery packs, because it'll always beep or give you or vibrate on you based on the voltage of your battery. That's really, really cool. And then let's see here, the last couple of options. You have general system settings, you put your name in there, the contrast, region and the language. And then of course you have an ability to use an SD card, which is located right here. You can transfer data to another DX8. And your trainer function and your frame rate. It's at 11 milliseconds, so you can change that if you need to, although I don't see the reason for that. Finally, to show you how telemetry works, I'm going to turn on my receiver here. And as soon as you power on your receiver, I have to change my model and go to TRX 700 Nitro. As soon as it detects the telemetry module, you'll see an indication right here. And I'm waiting on it. There it is. And it's giving me full signal right here for telemetry. The only option that I have already enabled right now with my Nitro is my receiver battery voltage. And to access that, I just turn this to the right. And as you can see, my receiver battery voltage is 7.9 volts. And of course, it would log flight log data like number of frames lost and stuff like that after a flight. So that's really cool. I hope you guys enjoy this short tutorial about the DX8.